Wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to worry about hiding your gifts anymore? Hi, I'm Jubilee, and it wasn't that long ago when I felt that way too. But then I became a student at Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, and everything changed.
So Tony, we've both seen X-Men Apocalypse now, and we're about to spoil the hell out of it. Stay away from this video if you don't want to know the ending and all the stuff in between X-Men Apocalypse. But before we get into that, you liked the movie, right?
I liked it. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it.
Yep.
I mean, there was a lot of good moments. There's some cool moments. I felt it was a really ambitious movie. They tried upping the game, the threat, the aspect of the story from the previous. But there's also a lot that was crammed in that made parts of it fall a little flat.
And yeah, it's that ambition that you think sort of held it down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So, and there's a few sort of key moments in the film that kind of stood out for both of us, right?
Yeah.
And I guess one of the first ones there is the whole Moira thing. So explain to me what your issue is with Moira in the film.
Yeah, so here you have a character, you know, in first class, she got her memory wiped. Professor X goes to her, and then that's where she informs them on the history of who is this Apocalypse character.
They call themselves a Shir En Sebenur, named after an ancient being they believe to be the world's first.
World's first what?
The world's first mutant.
Actually, it doesn't really make sense in the movie. In the comics, he's at different points in history, he's been seen as a god. But in the movie, he would have been buried alive all this time unless there's stuff that happened before. Yeah. But anyways, it was cool that she brings it up, touches on the stuff in the Bible and all that, so you get kind of a sense of who he is. Is he this creature that caused all these different myths or stories and stuff like that? But it was good they brought her in to kind of anchor that the film, because otherwise, how's Professor X know who this dude is?
Yeah, like my biggest problem with Moira in this film was she was essentially the person that set the whole thing into motion by accidentally like leaving that space for sunlight to actually hit Apocalypse and reactivate his powers. They could have just Days of Future Past her and like gone back in time, stopped Moira from doing that, and saved themselves the whole hassle of. I'm assuming a lot of people died in this film they don't actually see, because Apocalypse just ruins the Earth, and Magneto actually ruins the Earth in sort of like many ways. So that's what really bugged me about Moira.
Now you bring it up, Moira's kind of a jerk. It's all her fault.
Yeah.
The whole thing is, she doesn't have her memories from before, but then as Professor X is wounded, he's almost dying, he gives her memories back. And then she's like, oh, and he's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for tampering with your mind and making you forget everything.
Yeah, the total dick move by Professor X, and she just forgave and went, oh, that's cool.
I thought she would like slap him or something, but it's like he was dying.
Okay, we're gonna move on from Moira now. She was problematic.
Yeah, but so we have a problem with the movie is we get some reintroduction to characters. So like Angel and Nightcrawler, for example, they were both in the second X-Men movie, the original X2. Yeah. We see them in a cage match. So this is 10 years after Days of Future Past. Mutants are kind of accepted, but they're still kind of feared, so there's this weird...
It was an underground fight club.
Yeah, basically. And it's like they were being forced to fight. It's like they didn't have a choice. So you kind of wonder, what do they do when they're not fighting? Are they locked in a cell? So that wasn't really clear to me. But we see them again, and one of the problems, which leads into the Four Horsemen, like we see Angel, his wings get damaged. And then after that, he can't really use his wings anymore. Apocalypse finds him, I'll give you new metal wings, and that was it. So there wasn't even an exchange. It's just like, boom, he's bad. He's gonna destroy the world.
Yeah, I think just generally the motivations for most of the Horsemen weren't really explained that well. It seemed to me that Apocalypse actually controlled the mind of Storm, but just convinced the other three, like, hey, you should totally, help me out for whatever purposes that they decided to.
Because with Storm, it wasn't really clear, because she kind of idolized Mystique. She saw Mystique as this inspirational mutant. She took the stand 10 years before. And then she finds Apocalypse, she doesn't really know who he is, offers him a Coke, and then he does some stuff to her, turns her hair white, which is kind of weird, because one of the things Apocalypse did, he would like unlock their full potential, power them up, amp them up, but for some reason that made her hair turn white, and then she's gonna do his evil bidding. Yeah. And then with Psylocke, she had her psychic dagger, and then he's like, I'll give you more power, and it's a sword, and she's like, okay. So like with her, I mean, she was the least explained. Yeah. There was no motivation whatsoever.
And she just completely just walks away at the end of the film. Yeah. It's like, there's a shot of her sort of like walking out of frame, and then that's it.
Because at least with Storm, you know that she's like, okay, this guy was a big jerk. He was wrong. I'm going to hang out with the good guys now. But with Psylocke, you don't know what she's going to do. So hopefully that will be addressed in another movie.
How about Magneto?
Oh, Magneto, Michael Fassbender. He had such a tragic story.
Yes.
So within the 10 years, he finds a new life. He has a wife, has a kid, a daughter. She's a mutant, living his quiet life, working in the factory. No one knows who he is until he saves a guy. He's outed. Tragic things happen to his parents, and then he's just gonna screw you guys. It's like, you guys were jerks.
He goes full on heel mode again for a little bit.
Nie rób tego!
My name isn't Henrik. My name is Magneto.
Do you think it was natural how he went back to the side of good at the end? Could you see that, or was that too sudden a shift for you? Because it felt a little sudden for me.
Magneto's always kind of straddled the line between good and bad. He's been focused on mutant rights and all that. That's been his main thing. But the interesting thing with the other three horsemen, Apocalypse kind of turned them. He did that. To unlock their full potential. He didn't do that with Magneto. He just kind of guided him, but he never touched him or did anything like that. So it's almost as if he took advantage of Magneto's emotions, being so distraught, that got him to turn on his side. But he didn't have to power him up because he's already so powerful that he didn't have to do that. So I mean, if you're a fan of the movies, it's not a horrible movie. It's not like ruining the franchise. It's not destroying everything. There are a lot of cool scenes, cool stuff happening. It's just there's a lot going into it. Don't have high expectations. Don't think it's going to be the best comic book movie of all.
For me, this was the least of the new trilogy that they've done. So I still rate First Class, and then Days of Future Past, and then this one in that order.